guys, PortalMaster9351 here, and in today's video, I've got some interesting news coming from you guys straight from the Activision earnings report. So as you guys know, every 3 months, Activision does an earnings call for investors, basically saying, here is how all of our games performed so far in these last 3 months. Here's how we think they'll do these next 3 months. They do this every 3 months. One in February, one in June, one in one in February, one in May, one in August, and one in November. And they do it like this every year, first Thursday of those months. So, of course, they had theirs today, their second quarter 2017 earnings report, which covers all of their earnings from April, May, and June of 2017. Now, we were potentially expecting a little bit of Skylanders news today, potentially just talking about upcoming Gamescom events and such. Well, there was unfortunately no such news. Most of the press conference was spent rambling on about finances for Blizzard and King, the other two properties tied up in the whole Activision Blizzard King thing. I mean, there's 3 names there, and Activision is only one of them. So they talked a lot about Overwatch and Candy Crush and stuff like that, since, of course, Activision Blizzard King comprises, all of those types of games. They also talked a lot about Call of Duty and Destiny. So, no surprise that there wasn't a whole lot about Skylanders. So, I live streamed the entire thing except the Q&A session on my Instagram account. I turned it off for the Q&A session because I figured there would not be any interesting news coming out of the Q&A session. But I was pretty wrong. Before I get to that, I do want to briefly talk about the Crash remake. Of course, the Skylanders fandom is pretty tight with Crash. A lot of us are liking Crash, and of course he was the guest star in Imaginators, so I do want to briefly talk about what they said for Crash. Apparently, in just 2 days of being out in all the month of June, it outsold every other console game in the month of June. So it was a smash hit, you could say. Definitely did very, very, very well. Also, in July, it was the #1 downloaded game on the PlayStation Store. So, again, Crash did very well. Now, as a follow-up to this, a question was asked in the Q&A session about porting games to other game consoles, or doing remasters, you could say. So, we learned a few interesting things. They reiterated how good Crash Bandicoot did. No surprise. If my game did that well, I would want to brag a lot about that. They said there is another IP that they are strongly considering porting to another console, and there's been a lot of requests. Obviously, no announcements today, but they're definitely thinking about working on some sort of another port of another IP. Now, we can only assume that this other IP they're talking about, which stands for intellectual property, I had to look it up. It's basically, an IP is something like Skylanders, or Spyro, or Crash. And as for the second one I mentioned, Spyro, that is most likely the IP that they are talking about. The gaming community has clamored for a Spyro remake for a really long time now, and I actually personally thought they were going to reveal one at E3, so I can only assume that they are going to reveal one at this next E3. I know they're just now saying we're considering working on it, but quite honestly, guys, I'm pretty sure that the Spyro remake has sort of been halfway underway for a while now, and as soon as they saw how well Crash Bandicoot did, they kicked it into full gear. So I fully expect Spyro remakes coming soon. But this was not all that they talked about in this question. He also addressed the Skylanders situation, saying that they are currently sort of in the process of porting Skylanders from consoles to mobile. So that's sort of another example of them porting things from one platform to another. Now, YRock made a post earlier today talking about this, saying, could this mean that all future Skylanders games are on mobile? To which I say, no, it does not mean that. Because, again, the Spyro remake, if it's announced next year, has almost certainly been underway for a long time now. So, I mean, why would they if they're making it sound like they have not even started a Spyro remake yet, for instance, why would they ever go ahead and say, you know, we're porting Skylanders for now, but it might make a return later? Why would they return it? Why would they phrase it like that? Because that would be talking about something that is over 1 year out, like 1.5 years out. They would not mention that. So honestly, you know, just because they were making it sound like it was going to permanently be on mobile, which I really don't think they made it sound like that. Apparently that's just the way Y-Rock interpreted it, but I really don't think that's what's happening here. And I really just think it was an instance of, you know, the only announced game for Skylanders right now is this mobile RPG game that we don't know anything about. So we may as well just go ahead and mention that since, you know, we can. So I really think that, you know, that's nothing to be concerned about. Now, there was another thing that came out today that was a person in Sweden. He works at Toys R Us, and he had a notice saying that Toys to Life had been discontinued and that there would be no in-store displays for the remainder of 2017. Now, I think there's a few interesting things about this. This was posted on the Skylanders Reddit. I'm not going to go too in-depth on this, but I do want to briefly mention it. This was posted on the Skylanders Reddit. I looked at the person who posted its account, and he seems to be a relatively active user on the Skylanders subreddit. So he's not just some random guy who was trying to troll, you know, the Skylanders community. He's obviously a reputable source, and he has confirmed that he works in Toys R Us in the past. I was basically going through his Reddit history, and it does appear as if he does work at a Swedish Toys R Us. Now, here's the thing. There's not that many Toys R Us's in Sweden. There are far more in America, Canada, many other places. So why is it that this is the first we've heard of some notice being posted in a Swedish workroom? You know, like, there are thousands of other Toys R Us's. So why would this one random Toys R Us in Sweden get this notice, but no others? And he actually mentioned this notice a couple of days ago, but only just now posted the actual thing that said Skylanders has been discontinued. So what I'm thinking this is it's either fake, or someone is messing with him, or Skylanders has been discontinued in Sweden. Because honestly, guys, if Skylanders had really been discontinued, they would have announced it today, and we would have seen these notices have popped up in other Toys R Us's around the United States, Canada, anywhere where there's Toys R Us's. It's not confirmed, and it's not even likely that this applies to anywhere other than Sweden, assuming that it's even real. So I just wanted to address that little thing, just so that nobody goes into panic mode about the game being canceled or anything. I just wanted to throw that out there for you guys. Anyways, that's all the news that came out of today. There has actually been a little bit of news that came out yesterday and today and potentially tomorrow about Skylanders Academy. Eric Rogers has been talking a lot about Academy on Twitter over the past few days, and so I'm going to be doing a compilation of all Skylanders Academy Season 2 news video tomorrow so that you guys can get sort of the scoop on all new things for Skylanders Academy. Anyways, like I said, that's all I have for you guys today. This has been Portal Master 9351. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.